It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. We're coming to you live from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution, from right here, deep in the heart of the great state of Texas, from Big D, that's Dallas, Texas. Man, have we got a fun show today. Get ready to laugh. I hope you're in good laughing shape, because we are going to have a blast. Our first guest today is going to be Greg Schwem. He is he's a comedian. He does a lot of corporate comedy with businesses that have him come to their meetings, etc. We're gonna talk about him and his show, and we're also going to have another very special guest, Jared Scott. Jared is the National Sales Director for AeroSeal. AeroSeal is a product that I really like because it seals ductwork in your house. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. We'll be back in just a second, and we'll visit with Greg. One of the things that we need more and more in this world of ours is laughter. If you can go to a corporate function and you can make those people laugh, then you are really on top of your game. And so I got together with a guy that I really love. He's got a great show. His name is Greg Schwem, and his show is, he is the host of A Comedian Crashes Your Pad. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
Man, I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing just great.
So you go around the world basically, and you kind of bum couches. You're like an international bum, right?
Well, it's one kind of led to the other. I mean, you mentioned at the top that I'm a corporate comedian, which is true. So for the last 25 years or so, that's been my niche as a comedian, whereas opposed to doing comedy clubs, I do make the corporate world laugh, and I do a bunch of business meetings and conferences and expos and things like that. And that was great. And a few years ago, I just decided that I was getting a little tired of always staying in hotels, because I felt like I wasn't able to write material. I wasn't seeing anything that I thought was funny just sitting in a hotel room. So that's about the same time that the home sharing industry took off, meaning Airbnb, Vrbo, those kind of places. And I thought, well, I'm going to go check these places out and these people that open up their homes to strangers. And I started to, while I was on the road doing the corporate gigs, taking an extra day and finding somebody that I just thought looked interesting, or they had a property that I thought looked interesting. And I started staying with them and filming my encounters with them. And what started as being filmed on just an iPhone grew to having a full crew and getting noticed and getting up on streaming platforms. And that's where we're at right now. So it's very exciting. So to get back to your question, I do kind of crash on couches.
Do they, man, that was a long answer. Do you have to like pre-qualify before you start filming? I mean, you're in a strange person's house, and I'm assuming they're in there with you. And depending on what they happen to be doing, you're like, oh, can I film that? And they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, that one you
There's a
can't
little-
film.
Yeah, there's a little vetting that goes on, mostly on my end. I mean, I just think it's funny that people open up their homes to strangers and don't ask any questions about them beforehand. It's like, oh, I'd like to. Okay, fine, you're approved. I just got out of prison. That's okay. You're still approved.
Well, they're probably assuming you're going to pay them some money to be there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So, but basically, all my requirements are when I stay with people, as I say, you need to give me an on-camera tour of your property. And we need to do a sit-down interview where I ask you about why you got into home sharing. And after that, anything's game.
No rules.
Yeah, we'll go to your favorite haunts if you want. If you have a project that you're working on, I'll do it with you. I've done some pretty fun stuff with hosts, and I kind of let them drive the episode.
Give us an example of one of your favorite shows.
A lot of times what happens is what I don't realize is going to happen. I mean, I stayed with a couple in San Antonio, okay, so in Texas, and all I knew about them was that they tended to market their place as they took in musicians who were traveling cross country and so forth. That was kind of what they put on their site. Now I'm a comedian. They're like, that's okay. We'll take you too. And
anyway, we'll take you anyway.
Yeah, anyway, if we must. But I didn't know anything about them, and it turns out they have a daughter who's a very, a pretty established country western star, and a son who does the same thing. And next thing you know, I was kind of in the middle of a jam session out on their porch, drinking beer and just talking about it. It's like, wow, I had no idea this was going to happen. So
How
a lot of
fun.
times, what happens is the unexpected.
Mm-hmm. And did they invite you back? That's what I really want to know. That's what we're going at.
We haven't gotten to that point yet. I hope they will. I do stay in contact with them, so I hope they will.
Okay, so you're
And they've
still
gotten some
speaking.
business out of it,
You
too.
haven't worn your welcome out yet.
Not yet.
No, that's good. That's good. So you've traveled all around the world with us. Tell us about some of the places you've been.
Yeah, I've been. Obviously, the pandemic has put a sort of a temporary kibosh on traveling. But the great thing about what I'm doing in home share is you don't have to, I don't know how I phrase this without it. I don't want it to sound like we're being blasé about the pandemic, but the thing about home
What
sharing
pandemic?
is kind of like, well, I know. I forgot you live in Texas.
I'm in Texas. We didn't have a pandemic, but go right ahead.
Yeah. You brought it to Illinois where I live. We have double the pandemic, so double the rules, but it's kind of what they're comfortable with. So as far as I've been to, I've crashed on a little canal boat in London. I've been to Vancouver where I crashed in a guy's smart home, and I had to learn how to use Alexa and Google. Everything was controlled by technology.
An electric toilet.
That led to a few phone calls.
Yeah.
And I've stayed in an open air tent in Colorado. I've stayed in a van, a VW van in Vail.
How
Some guy
fun.
rented his van.
He rented his van?
He rented his van. That was his whole pitch was, if you want to ski, it's the cheapest place to stay. And he was right about that.
Could you drive it or just sleep in it?
No, it wasn't drivable. I just slept in it. Yeah.
I thought we were renting it to drive back to California. What do you mean?
No, I'm sure at one point it was rented to drive back to California, but no, I just slept in it.
There's nothing like sleeping in a hippie van. I've done it in the 70s.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It definitely had that look about it.
Yeah,
Outside
yeah.
And inside.
So the process of locating these people is, tell us how that happens. Or do you just go on and you just Google, people that need people that have an extra bed, or what is it?
No, I go on some of the home sharing sites. I found out where I'm going to be at. What we try to do is to coordinate episodes around where I'm going to be performing stand-up comedy. So, for example, the last one we did was in Savannah, Georgia. So I had a gig at a place called the Savannah Comedy Review. So once I get that locked down, then I start going on home sharing sites and looking for properties in Savannah and saying, hey, maybe I can stay with you while I perform, and I'll make you a part of the episode. And that's pretty much how
they don't pay me enough as a comedian to get a hotel room, so I'll do a song and dance for you if I could sleep on your couch.
Right.
And
There you
maybe
go.
a ham
Or wherever it
sandwich.
is.
Maybe a ham sandwich. Hey.
Exactly. So then I just start looking for people that I find their profiles to be interesting, or if they see something funny on their profile, or if they have a unique, like some of the places I've described, just a unique accommodations. I tend to look for people who are doing home sharing for reasons other than strictly financial. And there's a lot of those people out there. There are people who have a passion for something. They, whether maybe they're raising chickens or, we're looking right now for somebody in the weed industry, to tell you the truth.
The weed, not like yard weeds.
No,
like,
no, not the kind of stuff you kill. The kind of stuff that's becoming
you grow
in a lot of states. But that's big now.
You're having to look for that. Is there a lot of looking going on? I mean, is that hard to find?
You've got to find the right balance and so forth, and kind of what people want to talk about. But yeah, so it's that kind of thing. So anything, I've stayed with vegans. I've stayed with people who just want to talk about that. I stayed with a gay couple on a yacht in Fort Lauderdale who were recently married and want to talk about that. And again, anything is fair game with me.
Oh, that sounds like really, really a lot of fun. Sounds like just a great adventure. So you've slept in some interesting places and on some interesting things.
Yeah.
And tell us about some of the oddities, some of the weird things that happen when you're at someone else's house.
Yeah.
Like the cat being stuck in the attic, or or you have to be kind of careful with that, don't you?
I think so. I mean, there are things that, you just never know, because it's amazing to me. Not everybody is really clean. A lot of people are just like, it is what it is. Take it or leave it. It's cheaper than the Marriott.
Nobody's died yet.
Yeah. So I had an incident I mentioned that we were in Savannah, and we were staying at a very nice sort of a garden apartment. And I walked in one morning and I realized I'd stepped in dog do, for lack of a word. And it turns out that the dog had gotten into the property and just made himself at home. And
it wasn't their dog.
Their dog, yeah. And I called the owner, who lived upstairs, and she was this very proper Southern woman, just that kind of, y'all, just whatever's bad here, it's not my fault. And she goes, well, we'll clean that up. She goes, y'all need to leave the door shut all the way, because Leon will just get in there and make himself at home. Like, yeah, well, mission accomplished there.
Yeah.
So that was not in the write-up about the place.
I have to get Leon out of my bed now.
Exactly. Leon, before Leon eats dinner.
Yeah, right. He ate my ham sandwich. What's up with that?
So yeah, there've been a few little incidents like that, but for the most part, I think everybody has been very cool. I think if you're going to open your home, you have to be a very unique person, and one who's sort of willing to roll with the punches a little bit.
And you haven't gotten in trouble with anybody yet?
No.
Yeah, come on, let's have it.
No, I've maybe broken a few things or so forth, but no. And also, in all seriousness, I want, the goal of these episodes is really to have fun with people and to make the audience laugh. But I'm not interested in belittling people. I mean, I want to portray them in a very good light. I mean, sure. I'm a guest in their house. So why wouldn't I do that?
Well, if you didn't want to go back. Now, this is a remodeling based show. Yes. So the question comes, do they have to remodel these places after you leave?
After I leave? Gosh, I hope not. They may have to fix the toilet once or twice.
Reset all the dials.
A lot of them should have remodeled before I showed up, but no, I like to consider myself a fairly low maintenance guest. I make the bed and so forth afterwards, but have I stayed in some places that have needed some work? Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's why they're renting them as opposed to staying in them themselves.
What do you have coming up?
You know, what we're doing now is, we're putting the finishing touches on Savannah. My next one I'm looking to do is in North Carolina, in a place called Tryon, North Carolina. We're talking about there. I've got one coming up in Boise, Idaho in the fall. I'm going to be the host of the Boise Chamber of Commerce annual gala. So again, I come in, I do my show, I stay with them. I'm really looking forward to that one because Boise's a really up and coming city. I try to focus on small to mid-sized cities. I mean, I've done Denton, Texas. I stayed in an Airstream.
I know where that is.
I stayed in an Airstream in Denton years ago, which was great. And she had a name for it. She goes, I want to introduce you to your property. This is Maggie May. I go, how do you know this is a female Airstream? I mean, do you flip it upside? I don't know.
I think I love her. My favorite dog was Maggie May. And my favorite, and that came from some fantastic memories of the 70s with Rod Stewart and a great song he did, and some people I knew, and some things we did, and it was fun.
Yeah,
I think I was told. And
all the video's been destroyed, though, hasn't it?
Well, luckily, we didn't have video back then. Thank God.
Isn't that great that we didn't have video back then?
Yeah. That's why we're all still free people. Let's talk about your corporate comedy that you do. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, I just decided I was when I quit my job, I was a TV news reporter, and when I quit my job, I became what you would consider to be a comedian, the guy that traveled around the country working comedy clubs. But
that's a natural transition, isn't it? Reporter to comedian.
Yeah, I know. How did that happen? Did it? I mean, I literally, this was down in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I had all the real gritty, the gritty assignments. I mean, I was the cop reporter, and so I literally was covering murders during the day, and it's like, okay, it's 6 o'clock, I'm done. Let's put on the comedy hat now.
We'll laugh about it. What the heck?
Yeah. So, so anyway, I had people, because I did somewhat of a clean act. I talked about technology and computers a lot in my club act, and I had people come up to me after shows and say, "Can you come down and perform for our business or our corporate retreat," and things like that. And I just decided I was good at that, and there weren't a lot of people I just sort of knew how to talk to a corporate audience and sort of make fun of them and poke fun at them without making it, again, without being mean, without belittling what they were doing. There's a real fine line there.
Yeah, no kidding.
That I've been able to straddle that really well. So I mean, you run home. Your audience is a home building audience. I mean, I've done Ace Hardware. I've done a lot of those kind of companies and so forth. And people. What you find is that people really like to laugh at themselves. They might not admit it, but when a guy from the outside comes in and sort of says what they've been thinking for the last 10 years,
right.
They enjoy that. And
because you can talk about the boss. You can talk about the boss, and what's he going to do? Fire you? Nah.
Right. Well, and what's typical is a lot of times the boss is laughing the hardest. I think sometimes CEOs, they almost have this persona that I have to be serious all the time. And I've worked with some companies with some CEOs that are just hysterical and really good sports. And once they start laughing, it sort of means everybody else, it's okay to laugh too. Sometimes you have to find that balance.
You have to watch what the king does, man. When the king does it, it's okay. That's
exactly,
right.
Exactly. And it's really gratifying.
And so do they find you, and this might be where they're having a board meeting or probably bigger than a board meeting. Well, if it's a large company, board meeting could be pretty darn big.
Yeah.
But, when they're having, like a big meeting, and then they're going to say, Greg, we need somebody to come in and kind of, we've got bad numbers this month. This quarter was really tough on us, and we got the stockholders in here. We need you to make them laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said, one of the things I've said is when times are good, people want to laugh, and when times are bad, people need to laugh.
That's true. Very, very well done.
Yeah. And I have spoken for companies that I know have just had huge layoffs and haven't met their numbers and so forth. But again, it's not really my job to talk about that on stage. They probably heard enough about that. It's my job to just bring a little levity to an event, because anybody who's watching your show has probably been to some corporate offsite corporate event, and you can only listen to straight business talks so long.
It's
before
like
you just need to get away from that, even if it's just for an hour.
And I have sat in so many board meetings, and you know, you're sitting there trying to keep yourself awake, and you're like, do I have to? And there's the same guy in every one of them, and you're like, do I have to? Can't I just tell this guy, shut the heck up? Shut up! I'm tired of you. Quit bugging me.
The guy that 3 times says, in conclusion.
Yeah. and my last point.
That's right.
And my last point again.
But I digress. Can we go back 4 slides?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I've had to follow that guy a lot, by the way.
Oh my gosh. And they're going, please, somebody.
Right.
Where's the shepherd hook when I need it?
Exactly. I mean, I've literally been in the wings, you know, just like, oh man, and I could go back to my room, you know.
Well, that is fantastic. Well, do you have some corporate shows on the way? You have any scheduled yet this year?
It is starting to reopen a little bit. It's probably going to take a few more months before people are flexible and comfortable traveling again. But you are starting to see, especially in some of these big convention cities, like say a Vegas or an Orlando, they are starting to open up a little bit. It'll be a slow process. I mean, the corporate events industry, I'm not going to lie, has been decimated by the pandemic because people weren't traveling and they weren't comfortable, and you weren't having corporate events, and you have to reopen hotels and you have to reopen convention centers, and then you have to figure out a way to make sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable being there, whether that's walking, whether that's eating, whether that's sleeping. And I have some events booked, and I'm also doing some comedy clubs, which obviously don't take as long as time to reopen and so forth. But, you know, I've been making people laugh, Alex, for 30 years full time. That's not something that you can just say, I'm not going to do that anymore.
No.
So I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to play by the rules. And obviously this TV show that I've got now is a great sort of a side gig, and has allowed me to continue to kind of keep my name out there and continue meeting people and continue making people laugh.
Well, and the interesting thing is, even here in Texas, where we're basically back open 100%.
Yeah, you are.
When you go into a restaurant that you went to before pandemic and you had to wait in line for lunch, they're a fraction of the people in there. I mean, it is really, it's really devastating a lot of people, and it's taking.
It is.
There's a lot of healing that's going to have to go on, psychologically, for our whole society. So I really appreciate you taking time to be with us today. You're just a great guy. You're super, super talented. I've watched some of your videos, and I laughed the whole time. And I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story with us.
Well, I appreciate being asked. I know I'm not your typical guest, but
You're not typical.
To me, the idea, we haven't even talked about my home improvement skills, which would be a really short interview.
Hey, I know people, brother. I know people.
Right, exactly.
Thank you so much. And
My
tell
pleasure.
everybody how to find your show real quick before we leave.
Yeah, well, if you want to, obviously, gregschwem.com for corporate comedy to learn about me. And then my show is distributed, The Comedian Crashes Your Pad, by Fantastic Entertainment. So that's fantastic-entertainment.com. Search Comedian Crashes Your Pad. You can find out all about it.
Fantastic, sir. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right. Best of luck to you, Alex.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk to Jared Scott with Aero Seal. Hey, don't forget to follow us on all your social media, like us on Facebook, subscribe and share on YouTube, and check us out on all your social media platforms. Don't forget to watch Remodel Revolution on your smart TV, on Texas Weather Tracker TV, on Roku, Android, Apple, and Amazon TV, Sundays at 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010, and don't forget that promo code RRV, Closets by Design. It's only a few short weeks until we'll be running our air conditioners all day and all night. Hey, it's time to get an HVAC tune-up scheduled. Call my friends at Total Air and Heat in Plano, Texas at 972-881-0020 right now and get on their schedule for a tune-up. Don't wait for the long lines. Get ahead of the crowd. Total Air has been servicing North Dallas and Plano and Richardson areas for over 60 years. Steve and Justin Lawton sell and service Carrier brand heating and cooling systems with Green Speed Intelligence technology. So give them a call at 972-881-0020 or contact them at totalair.com. You may have your favorite air conditioning guy coming over and saying, hey, guess what? That funky noise in your attic and in your backyard is your air conditioning system needing to be replaced. Or maybe he can fix it, but the ductwork is full of dust mites and all kinds of crud, and you're getting dust all over your house, and it needs to be just repaired. So I contacted a friend of mine, Jared Scott, with AeroSeal. It's a company that provides a sealing technology for your air conditioning ducts. It's a great product, and welcome to the show, Jared.
Thanks, Alex. Happy to be here.
Great. It's great to see you, my friend. Tell us exactly what AeroSeal is chemically. I mean, what is this? Is this like spray paint going in your ductwork, and just tell us what it is.
Yeah, so the AeroSeal process involves a liquid sealant. It's actually a vinyl acetate polymer that's suspended in water. If for all the chemical engineers out there, if you want to know.
Well, you just lost me. Okay.
I know. I repeat that because I don't know what it means. No, it is actually a very, very safe product. So it's the vinyl acetate polymer is very similar to other very similar types of plastic materials. So actually very similar to what's in hairspray and chewing gum, believe it or not.
Wow.
So the sealant itself is extremely safe, and it's used in our equipment, takes it from a liquid form, heats it up, and atomizes it into the duct system, and those little particles float through. Physics takes over. I'm being very brief here, but it takes over and seals up the gaps. So
so when it goes in, is it like a fog?
It is. So it looks like a mist, right? Very, very concentrated mist right at the, coming right off the system. But as it goes downstream in the duct, it goes to attach to the duct surfaces. If you think about it, like these little particles build up on the the duct material itself, and then upon each other, and it just closes up the gap.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is amazing. That's amazing. So walk us through the process for a homeowner that is thinking that they need this. Who would they call? Would they call their AC guy, or would they call you, or who would they call?
It's a good question. So if they're looking to get connected to an AeroSeal dealer near them, they're absolutely can reach out to us. Aeroseal.com. In fact, our directory online is directory.aeroseal.com, and that they can pick the state there. Also, feel free to call in to the toll-free number, 877-959-8421, if they want to get connected to someone locally. But it is typically an HVAC contractor or a duct cleaner. So duct cleaners also, they're able to discuss, certainly clean the ducts, but also discuss why the ducts are getting dirt in them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And typically it's going to be because of poor airflow, which is what AeroSeal fixes.
And so in older homes in the Southwest and in my part of the country, where we really depend on our air conditioning for probably 8 months out of the year, maybe longer some years, maybe 9 months some years. We only have a couple of months of really time when we don't run our air conditioning, but we still run our heat.
Yeah.
And so actually, I get, now that I'm thinking of it, we have almost a 12-month a year use of this equipment.
Right.
When what we have found over the years is that we have a lot of air leakage that's tied to old installation methods that just didn't last. Where they would use duct tape to tie things together. They didn't cement. They didn't have the epoxy cements and things like that. That we've now, of course, since updated all of our installation processes and our focus on making things more energy efficient, which was really what we were trying to do. And then we found that it cleared up a lot of other things. It cleared up dust in the house. It cleared up, people sneezing all day long and things like that. Is there a certain time of year that you would expect to get more traffic for this product, like maybe now that people are starting to use their air conditioner? I'll have my air conditioner on this weekend. That's how hot it's getting here.
Yeah, I think we're there, right? In most parts of the country, I know here in Ohio, where we're based out of, it's expected to get up to 80 today. So I'm sure a lot of AC systems will get turned on here. And for HVAC contractors that are AeroSeal dealers, it does make sense to bring this to the attention to homeowners. Because homeowners are often, they're struggling with comfort, right? Comfort's going to be something that as a homeowner, you're feeling or not feeling every day. The air quality aspect in a lot of areas right now, super high pollen issues right now where, it's causing allergy situations, and depending on where you're at and how your system is functioning, can actually be higher pollen concentrations in the home than outside of the home. And then, they're also looking at it from an energy savings point. So at the system replacement process, if your system, if it breaks or if it's time to consider having a new one installed, that brand new piece of equipment is going to be attached to the same old ductwork that has the leaks and is needing repair. So it's a great time to consider it. But it can also be something to solve directly or be a component of solving directly a component or an uncomfortable room or level in your home. So
Mm-hmm.
the second floor often is warmer in the summer and cooler in the winter than the first floor, where often the thermostat's going to be located in a single thermostat and single system home.
One of the things that I've learned is that air conditioning ducts, where we for years have used flex duct in a lot of homes.
Yep.
And flex duct is just basically a plastic tube that's ribbed. It's sort of like an accordion. And that has to affect airflow. That must be just kind of creating friction inside that thing, and where on a long run, I can see how it could really affect the amount of air that could get to a certain room. And if you have connecting rooms to that duct like a trunk line, then everything at the end of it, which is coming out of the vent, is where you see the issues. If you it seems like this would help with that by just kind of, I know it's not going to fill in the rib places, the little unevenness, but just making the overall surface a little smoother, a little less gappy.
Yeah, I'll use that, less gappy. So
Yeah, less gappy.
So yeah, to your point, yes, FlexDuct is very convenient for running addressing or running a duct to register. So, but it does, it's not very durable. And if over years it can wear, or if there's access, people in the attic moving it around,
Yeah.
putting things on it.
Stepping on it.
Yes. But the other, the other key area, not just on that flex connection to the boot or to another metal connector, where it is going to leak a lot. So it'll address those as well. And so the key here with AeroSeal is it doesn't encapsulate or line the ducts with the material. It's just it's going to pinpoint those leakage spots and seal it up, making it less gappy.
Let's talk about I look at houses every now and then that have metal duct. I have one recently that there was a bunch of rusty areas, like when the house had the original duct from the 1950s in it, and it was all metal duct. And of course it had been insulated from the outside. They wrap it with what looks like a foil with insulation underneath it. When we pulled some of that back, we found rusty areas in that duct. And I immediately, of course, my reaction was, well, it's got to be replaced. But the air conditioning guy one of them, the homeowner talked to, didn't agree with that. It sounds like this would be something that could help situations like that. Now, the way I look at it is when I have rusty spots in that ductwork, then I have a porous area in that duct. In other words, that rust has it's people don't understand that when you have that rust in there, it's actually disintegrated that metal. And so it's almost like if you looked at it with a microscope, or maybe not even that, you can actually see through it, and air's coming in and out of that. It's one of the reasons that it's rusty. It's had moist air coming in and out. Is this the type of product that might help me get a little more longevity out of that situation?
Yeah, it sure can. So depending on how much rust that you were seeing in that case, that maybe the right thing is to replace it, but it can also, in the situation using AeroSeal, could be treated to stop the rusting. And then the big thing, and that causes the rust in the first place, is moisture and condensation. So condensation is going to happen when cold air meets warm air, and there's dew point involved. And without going too far into that, it's going to cause that moisture accumulation on the metal duct, right? Just the same way as you take a cold glass of tea and you set it out in a hot and humid environment, that condensation forms on the outside. That same situation occurs when you have cool air running through and it meets warm air. So with AeroSeal sealing that off, there's no leakage. Mm-hmm. So that cold air doesn't escape to the warm air outside, and it flows through the ducts the way that it's really designed to. So in the South, in high humid areas, especially, and actually there's a lot of humid areas in the North too during the summer. Mm-hmm. But when ducts are especially located in the attic, this is a very common occurrence. And we have a number of dealers that are doing this specifically to cut down on that condensation and the moisture. And the other thing that's to be concerned about a little bit is when you have that moisture like that in a dark, warm, moist place like an attic
done dry.
Or a basement, mm-hmm. you can get an organic or a mold growth. And you definitely want to make sure you're avoiding that, because that's going to go into the air quality aspect of it, which is another component of AeroSeal.
So lastly, what Do people need to worry about whether the house is occupied when this is done? Can they stay in the house, or do they need to leave for the day? Or tell us about that.
Yeah, we would say that they can be in the house. The big thing with contractors is to, as they're connecting this equipment and setting it up, I think it's up to their preference, but they can be there. It is safe to be there. And it's kind of cool to see, to be honest. But it's typically done in anywhere from, depending on the size of the home and how many systems, from 4 to 8 hours worth of work for the HVAC contractor. And like I said, it is very amazing to see it. I get to see it all the time, and it's one of those things that it's just very passionate about. So I love to be able to be on the site and see how contractors perform and work too.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And how do people find AeroSeal?
So the best way to connect with us is www.aeroseal.com. And then I mentioned the toll-free number. It's 877-959-8421.
Jared, I really appreciate you taking time out to be with us today. It's been very, very interesting.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Alex. I appreciate the offer to be here.
Sure. Good luck with your product. I think it's awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
That's today's show. Next week, we're going to have another fantastic show. So don't miss it. Make sure and follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Please share these videos and share with your friends, and follow us on Facebook. Like us. And until next week, this is Alex Guthrie signing off. Thank you so much. Have a good week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.